Hi, everybody. It is Jennifer from Tarle Speech. Let's learn some syllable stress today, and let's practice it. And then let's learn some phrasal stress for NFL teams and the cities where they are located. So as a reminder, stress is louder, longer vowels, and higher pitch. And we must have the opposite. This is super important. You must have syllables that are lower in pitch, softer in volume, and faster. As words get longer and have more syllables, we are going to have more shorter syllables, and we are more likely to have a schwa sound or a schwa syllable. And a schwa is an sound, an unstressed vowel. I do want to note that there will be some regional variations on the schwa. And also I kind of mix and match depending on the other vowels in the word. And a schwa, while it is usually just an sound, a relaxed vowel with your mouth open, it can sound a little bit like an I, and it can sound a little bit like an eh. So if I'm teaching it as like an it, or an and you have a variation, that is typically fine. So let's go ahead and jump right in and learn all of the NFL teams today. We will be going through the NFC and the AFC conferences. So in the comments after you watch the video, let me know who your favorite NFL team is. All right, we are starting with the NFC. And for this, we are going to be stressing the C, NFC, the NFC, NFC, NFC. I do have secondary stress on my N, so it's sort of like NFC, NFC. All right, number one. We have the Detroit Lions. So let's start with the syllable stress. I have this written two different ways because I hear two different things. I say Detroit. I do hear people say Detroit. So both are okay, and you'll probably hear both. Just pick one and you'll be fine. So we have Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions. So our stress pattern here is like a pyramid. Low, high, high, low. So we have Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions. Also, my T is last released here. So you might hear Detroit, and it doesn't sound like there's a T. I'm marking my T. I'm touching the tip of my tongue to the back of my top front teeth where the skin and the teeth meet on the roof of your mouth. I'm just not letting that puff of air go out. So Detroit Lions. So that's the stress pattern there. Now, when we put those two together, we're going to stress Lions more. I still have my stress on the syllables, but I'm going to focus more on the word Lions. So it'll sound like this. Detroit Lions, Detroit Lions, the Detroit Lions. All right, so let's try that. We're going to try the word Detroit, which will be the city. Then we'll practice the team name, and then we'll put it together. Okay, I'll say it once, and then you take a turn. Detroit Lions, Detroit Lions, Detroit Lions. Moving on to Green Bay, we have a syllable pattern that is going to be stress, unstress, stress, unstress. So Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers. Now, when we put that together, again, same pattern, stressing the Packers, which is the team name, the Green Bay Packers. Let's get crazy and add the on there. The, when we are introducing a team name, is always going to be unstressed conversationally. You will hear people say the Green Bay Packers when they are really trying to make a point and stress that this is the Green Bay Packer team. So you will hear that, but most of the time we are going to unstress the. So let's give it a try. I'll say each word and then you repeat after me. Green Bay, Green Bay, Green Bay. Packers, Packers. Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, the Green Bay Packers. All right, moving on to our next team, Minnesota Vikings. Love this one because there are so many schwas in here and you can say them a little bit differently if you please. So we have stress on the so and stress on the vi. So we have Minnesota Vikings, Minnesota Vikings, Minnesota Vikings. Sorry about that. I messed up my stress. All right. So let's give that a try. Minnesota, Minnesota. And yes, I wrote that with a D. Technically, it's the flap T for the ending there. And the reason is that T is between two vowels. And so we're going to retain that voicing and say that super fast D sound. And then also, because that syllable is unstressed, that flap T is going to be really, really quick. So one more time, Minnesota. And let's do Vikings, Vikings, Vikings. Minnesota Vikings. Now again, let's put it together and we are going to stress Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings. So moving on to the Chicago Bears. For Chicago, we are going to have an unstressed syllable number one, and we're going to say an SH, not a CH. It is not Chicago. It is Chicago. We're going to stress the ka syllable there. It's that open sound. So Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. And then Bears is one syllable, so that gets the stress. Bears, Bears. We're going to use that air sound there. We're not going to say ear, it's air. All right, so we have Chicago Bears, Chicago Bears. Now let's try each word. Chicago, Chicago. Bears, Bears. Put it all together. We're going to stress Bears. The Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears. All right. Now we are on to the NFC East, starting with the Dallas Cowboys. I wrote two L's here because one of the mistakes that I hear with a lot of my students is having a syllable break that's too much. And then that L is not influencing your vowels enough. So an L in English, similar to a vowel, is what really influences the vowels. So writing it twice is just going to tell you to smoothly move from the vowel to the L to the vowel. Okay. So we have the stress on Dal, Dallas, and then we have stress on Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas, Dallas, Cowboys, Cowboys. Now let's put it all together. Stress the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. So we have some nice schwas here. Philadelphia, Philadelphia, Philadelphia. And then we have Eagles, Eagles, Philadelphia, Eagles. Let's try each word. Philadelphia, Philadelphia. Eagles, Eagles. Okay, when we put it together, you know the drill. Stress the Eagles, the team name. The Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles. Moving on to the New York Giants. So we have stress on York and Gi. So the New York Giants. The New York Giants. New York, New York, New York. Giants, Giants, Giants. So again, we sort of had that pyramid stress here. New York Giants. New York Giants. Let's try each. New York, New York. Giants, Giants. All right, put it all together. You know what to do. Stress Giants. The New York Giants. The New York Giants. I love this one. We have a really long one here. So many syllables, so you really have to focus on unstressing some of those syllables, okay? So think more on this one about unstressing and getting quicker with a lot of your syllables. So we have Washington, Washington. And then we have commanders, commanders. So Washington, commanders. Washington, commanders. Washington, commanders. Okay, let's try each. Washington, Washington. Commanders, commanders. This is just a general tip. Oftentimes when we have a place name that ends with T-O-N, we are going to pronounce it as ton. Now let's put it together. We're going to stress commanders. The Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders. All right, already on to the NFC South. Okay, now we're on to the Atlanta Falcons. So you have two choices here. You can say ta to end Atlanta, or you can drop the T altogether and just keep that N and say Atlanta, Atlanta. In both cases, we are going to stress the middle syllable, the lan. Atlanta, Atlanta. And then for Falcons, we are going to stress the syllable number one, fal, Falcons. So we have Atlanta Falcons. So we have that low, high, low, high, low pattern. Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons. So let's try Atlanta, Atlanta. Falcons, Falcons. And when we put it all together, we're going to stress the team name, the Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers. So for this word, we have a lot of schwas. We have kara, which is a schwa, line, and we have that second schwa. So Carolina, 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 Carolina. Yes, we do have some secondary stress on the care, but because we're working a little bit more on unstressing things, let's think about really just having the main stress on the lie. Carolina, Carolina. And then we're going to stress the pan for Panthers. 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 Okay, let's try Carolina, Carolina. Panthers, Panthers. And let's put it all together. The Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers. All right, so we have the New Orleans Saints, or you can say New Orleans. So I think you'll probably get opinions about this depending on where you live and how people pronounce it and if someone's native or not. So for today, I say New Orleans. So that's kind of what we're going to go with. And so we are going to stress the or, New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans. And then Saints is one syllable, so we're just going to stress the word Saints. All right. Now, when we put it all together, we are going to stress the team name. So Saints is going to get the most stress. All right, let's try each and then put it all together. New Orleans, New Orleans. Saints, Saints. The New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we have Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. So we have that schwa syllable in the middle there, stress on the Tampa Bay. And then we have the stress pattern that is the same for word number 2, Buccaneers, Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, Buccaneers, where primary stress is on tam and buck. All right, so let's give each a try. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. Buccaneers, Buccaneers. And let's put it all together and stress Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You may be hearing that it sounds like I'm speaking faster. At least this is what my students say when we are working on stress. And that is because this is such a long word in terms of syllables. You have 2 3-syllable words. So we have 6 syllables altogether. So when I'm putting both of the words together into a phrase, my syllables are going to get shorter overall. So to some people, it does sound like I'm speaking a little bit quicker. All right, NFC West time with the San Francisco 49ers. So we have San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers. So let's start with San Francisco. San Francisco. San Francisco. San Francisco. 49ers. 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 And all together, stress 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers. Again, this is a long one. And so we have a lot of unstressed syllables. And so it sounds like I'm speaking a little faster, and that might help some people to think you need to make your syllables quicker, faster, and less precise in these longer combinations. Okay, now we have the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks. All right, so we're going to say Seattle. I'm using a D here because this is a flap T. Seattle, 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 Seattle. And then we're going to stress C in Seahawks. Seahawks, Seahawks, Seahawks. Seattle, Seahawks. Seattle, Seahawks. And then stress Seahawks, we put it all together. The Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks. Okay, now we are in Southern California for the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. And then Rams is one syllable, so we're just going to stress that. Rams. Rams. Let's put it all together. The Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams. Now we have Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals. So let's start with word one and let's do Arizona. 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 And then Cardinals. 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 All right. Something happens here when I am actually combining these words, the state in this case, and the name of the team, the Cardinals. I actually reduce an entire syllable. And instead of saying Arizona Cardinals with 3 syllables in Cardinals, I will just say the Arizona Cardinals. And I actually kind of drop almost that middle syllable. It's kind of there, but many people can't hear it. And so this happens a lot of times when people are speaking in fast connected speech. So I just wanted to mention that sometimes things will sound slightly different in conversation. Your ears aren't playing tricks on you. This does happen because, again, we try to reduce things in these longer combinations when we have more syllables to pronounce. Let's try each word and then put them together. Arizona, Arizona. Cardinals, Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals. And that is our last team in the NFC. So let's practice all of them one more time before we move on to the AFC. Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, Washington Commanders, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. And that is it for the NFC. Now, let's move on to the AFC, the American Football Conference. Just a reminder, we are going to stress the C here, the AFC. We do have slight secondary stress on the A, so it's a little more like AFC. AFC. Let's start with the AFC North. This is my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's start with Pittsburgh. We're going to stress syllable number 1, Pittsburgh. And then we are going to stress syllable number 1 again, Steelers. So we have up, down, Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. I do have to comment, I would be remiss if I didn't, that many people in Pittsburgh will actually say the Pittsburgh Steelers with that short I sound. So either is okay. If you say Steelers or Stillers, it does not matter. Both are regionally okay. So let's give each of these a try. Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. Steelers, Steelers, Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now we have Baltimore Ravens, Baltimore Ravens. So we're going to stress the Baltimore Ravens. So stressing syllable number 1 in both of these words. So we have Baltimore, 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 Baltimore. Ravens, Ravens, Ravens. And let's put it all together. The Baltimore Ravens. And again, we know we need to stress the team name. So let's try it one more time, a little more naturally. The Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens. Next, we have a good long one to practice those unstressed syllables. Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati. 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 So here again, I am adding that D because this is more of a flap T. Cincinnati, Cincinnati, Cincinnati. And then stress Bengals, 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 Bengals. I do hear some people say more of an A here instead of Bengals. And the reason is that I think people are opening their mouth for that NG sound. And so it gets a little interesting that because you're moving your mouth, it might sound to a lot of my students more like an A. So technically it's an but if you hear more of that A, that's totally okay. Okay, let's try each of those. Cincinnati, Cincinnati. Bengals, Bengals. And let's stress the team name, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals. Cleveland Browns are up next. So this is a little bit of a challenge for a lot of my students because we have that V and that L together. So try to break them apart. Cleveland, Cleveland. And this is a case where I wrote it with an I sound, but you can say und, Cleveland or Cleveland. It doesn't matter as long as you unstress that ending of the lund, okay? So we have Cleveland, and then Browns is one syllable, so we just stress that, Browns. Let's try each of those. Cleveland, 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 Cleveland. Browns, Browns. And let's put it all together. The Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns. AFC East time, starting with the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. We have a little bit of a secondary stress here. So we have the main stress on buff. You're going to unstress the schwa. And then low gets a little bit of stress there. Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. Bills is only one syllable. It gets all the stress. Bills. Okay. So let's try each and then we'll put it together, stressing the team name. Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. Bills, Bills. The Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bills. Next, we have Miami Dolphins. So we are going to stress Miami, 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 Miami. And then we're going to stress the Dolphins, Dolphins, Miami, Dolphins. So we have that low, high, low, high, low. Okay, let's try each of them. And then when we put them together, you know the drill, stress the team name. Okay, Miami, Miami, Miami. Dolphins, Dolphins, Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins. Moving on to the New England Patriots. We have New England. I actually wrote this as a schwa here. I probably should have just written this as an sound, a U. So sorry about that. New England. And then we're going to stress pay, syllable one in Patriots. 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 New England Patriots. So we sort of have that low, high, low pattern. Let's try each word and then put them together. New England, New England, New England. Patriots, Patriots, Patriots. The New England Patriots. The New England Patriots. The New England Patriots. New York Jets are up next. So we're going to stress York and Jets. This is kind of a short one when they have 3 syllables and we put these all together. So this might sound a little bit different and a little bit slower to many of you out there. So let's try New York, New York, New York, and then Jets. All right, let's put it together. New York Jets, New York Jets, New York Jets. The New York Jets. AFC South time, starting off with the Houston Texans. So I wrote this as U, so we're going to have that H, Houston Texans. I will comment, some people, I actually hear them dropping the H altogether and saying Houston Texans. So not quite sure where people come from that do that, but I do hear that, definitely regionally where I live, but I hear it in other people as well. So just kind of keep that in mind that some people will drop the H. So let's put this all together and practice each syllable, and then we'll do the words together. Houston Texans. Houston Texans. Houston, Houston, Houston. Texan, Texan, Texans. Houston Texans. The Houston Texans. The Houston Texans. The Houston Texans. All right. Indianapolis Colts are up next. So we are going to stress the na and then Colts, because Colts just has 1 syllable. So we have Indianapolis. 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 And then we have Colts. Colts. You know what to do. Stress Colts when we say this all together. The Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts. Let me try that one more time because that was a little bit slurred. The Indianapolis Colts. Moving on to Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, so for Jacksonville, we are going to stress the Jack. Jacksonville. And then Jaguars. So I do hear some variations on the ending of the Jaguars. I'm going to say think about just unstressing that syllable and don't think about being too specific with the vowel, and that will help. I get a lot of questions on this word, and it is kind of difficult to explain because I do hear some people when they're stressing it say Jaguars with like this ah. But then when some people kind of put everything together, I will hear something like wires at the end. So either is fine. Just try not to stress that final syllable, and that should help. Okay. So let's try Jacksonville, 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 Jaguars, 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 Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, when we put it all together, don't forget, we're going to stress Jaguars, the team name. The Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Tennessee Titans are next. So we have 2 unstressed and then stressed. Tennessee. Tennessee. Then we're going to keep that stress and stress syllable number 1 on word number 2. Titans. Titans. Let's try each word. Tennessee, Tennessee, Tennessee. Titans, Titans, Titans. The Tennessee Titans. And let's stress Titans on that. The Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans. AFC West time. Denver Broncos. So we have Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos. Let's try each word. Denver, 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 Denver. Broncos, 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 Broncos. And let's put it all together. The Denver Broncos, the Denver Broncos, the Denver Broncos. Kansas City Chiefs. So we have Kansas City. I wrote a D here because this is a flat T situation. Kansas City. And then Chiefs gets all of the stress because it's one syllable. So let's try each of those. Kansas City. Kansas City. Kansas City. Chiefs. 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 The Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs. Las Vegas Raiders. So we have loss, like something is lost. Las Vegas. Las Vegas. And then Raiders. Raiders. Let's try each of those. Las Vegas. Raiders. Las Vegas. Las Vegas. Las Vegas. Raiders. 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 The Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders. Los Angeles Chargers. Again, we are going to say Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. And then Chargers. 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 All together, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. And that is our last team. So let's practice all of those again. The Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Denver Broncos, the Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, New York Jets, New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, everybody, tell me your favorite sports team in the comments below. It can be a football team or it can be something else, whichever you please. Thanks so much for being here, everyone, and I will see you all again soon.